Hey, welcome to my channel. I'll be upfront, starting off by saying that I was genuinely surprised how good the first episode was, the pilot episode was. I'll be honest, like based on the way Warner Brothers has been doing live action versions outside of the original Superman and Tim Burton's original Batman, as well as Nolan's Batman as well too trilogy. Outside of that, everything else that they've tried, they've massively failed on. Let's be honest, Justice League, it was a complete muck up. Wonder Woman, the first one was good. Second one and beyond has not done well. And Peacekeeper has been good. I mean, first season was good. Second season, I don't know. Suicide Squad, I don't know that from that perspective. I mean, the first one I kind of liked. The second one, so it's either hit or miss usually with Warner Brothers when it comes to doing the DCU universe, basically. And honestly, to be honest, I thought after Green Lantern, what they did in with Ryan Reynolds, but of course they had Ryan Reynolds kind of had his say into it. They kind of that was a complete bomb to the point where you would have figured that the latest Superman by that has Guy Gardner in there. It's it's not bad. Nathan Fillion plays the role really really well. It's just that I think how they utilized him wasn't that great, considering that we know either John Stewart and or Hal Jordan would have made more sense at that point. But I mean, you had like Hal Jordan, like basically Hal Jordan already in place. The fact that they didn't use him only shows to the fact that all right, something else was going on from a perspective of like it'll be interesting to see, like I said, with the rest of the season, basically, because based on this first season, I'll start off by saying this. It was great that they didn't start off in space or make it an origin aspect of things, because honestly, it was if they tried doing an origin thing and then like trying to do their version of the origin would have made no sense. I mean, from a John Stewart perspective, yeah, but at the same time, like having John Stewart as Hal Jordan's apprentice is pretty good. And then the other aspect is basically, if they introduce Sinestro to the point where like, Hal Jordan, Hal Jordan's mentor was Sinestro, and then of course Sinestro's mentor was Abin Sur. I mean, it falls into that tree line basically at that point. But it'll be interesting to see how that works. I'm hoping also that this this season, maybe next season, I don't know, if they are going to include or talk about the Manhunters, that'd be great. Honestly, because like I would love to see about the Manhunters as well as the other lanterns. The Red Lanterns based on hate, and the Yellow Lanterns, of course, based on fear, and maybe seeing Sinestro introduced. Because like based on the previews we're seeing so far, we saw that basically, like we see Guy Gardner is there, so we know that this Lanterns show is basically within the universe of this current, James Gunn Superman. As I'm not sure about Penguin though. That would be interesting to see if it's in that universe of the Penguin as well as the Batman with yeah. Anyways, unless they're gonna scrap that Batman, but anyways, I will say this: it doesn't sound like they'll screw this up, and if this can be, I think honestly, because like yes, Superman is the iconic cornerstone or the cornerstone and the icon of DC Comics, that and the universe itself, as well as Batman. Between those two, as well as Wonder Woman, well, those three basically, it's those three are the iconic cornerstones. But reality is, let's be honest, Superman was the first that introduced the world to DC Comics. They try as you might. I mean, nothing will ever for me beat out the Christopher Reeves version for Superman 1 and 2. Uh 3 and 4. I mean, that was whatever. Uh but the reality is like I'll say this. If they are gonna do a reboot again, like reboot everything, but you still using this Superman, I would not make that Superman movie the cornerstone or the jumpstart for the DCU. I would use, if anything, the Lanterns show. If that is the case, the Lanterns season does really, really well. Let this be the reboot and the cornerstone to build out the rest of the DCU. Just like the way Iron Man built out the Marvel Universe. I mean, yes, granted, you had Iron Man and Hulk, the Incredible Hulk, but the problem is with the Incredible Hulk that bombed. But fortunately, Iron Man didn't with Robert Downey Jr. and it built forward from there, and that's Marvel Universe's, is where it is right now at this point today, basically. So in this situation, I would want to say that if this is the case, this show should be the cornerstone of starting off the whole DCU again. Build it off of this. You're gonna put in a Wonder Woman, find a new Wonder Woman, have her, cast really well. Let her be the one that also builds that aspect. Same thing with the Batman. Now Robert Patterson's Batman, I like it, but it would be interesting to see how that works out from that perspective. I mean, like with that and the current Superman that it is, I mean, Supergirl was a bomb. Let's be honest, Supergirl was a bomb. I think they could have done so more with it. They could have done so more. Now, granted, I'll tell you this much: I did not watch the movie just yet, so I'm waiting for it to come on HBO Max, and then I'll watch it to give my thoughts. But I think they probably could have done a lot with that. Now, Black Adam, thank God they decided to like scrap that because that Dwayne Johnson or The Rock, he should not be driving how the freaking movie is made and like trying to do whatever and force everything at that point. Reality is like if I'm James Gunn, it's like, see ya, bye. This is my universe. I want to create what it is basically. But hopefully James Gunn has the vision. My only wish, to be honest, I'll be straight up forward with this. Is my only wish is if James Gunn can collaborate with Kevin Smith. Now we all know Kevin Smith is the biggest comic book nerd out there. Like Jon Favreau with Star Wars and with MCU as well too. He was the biggest nerd out there for the Star Wars universe as well as the Marvel universe. Kevin Smith is the iconic director, writer that DCU should, Warner Brothers should bring and use. Why they don't, I don't know. Do they feel like he's going to try to make it artistic? I don't know. But reality is like him with James Gunn, they could add that humor aspect as well too, quite honestly. Because like I liked how the show is, where it doesn't start off as an international thing, or not international, but more of a galactic thing. It's not out there in space. It's on Earth. It comes back to Earth. I mean, yeah, they're driving to a point where like tying it to where Abensor comes into Nebraska, crashes into Nebraska, and basically, like they're going from there, and like, and Hal Jordan's basically is like saying, like, well, you know what, something's up because like there's something definitely about this, to the point of like, and it was great seeing how they showed the individual was an alien. My feeling is like this guy that basically blew himself up. I have a feeling he might be a synthoid manhunter. Basically, he might be the manhunter. I would not be surprised if that's the case. He's definitely not a lantern, because if he was a lantern, he would have like been able to have done whatever. So, I'll be interesting to see if that's how this story plotline goes. But like I said, I liked how it was building off each other. Now, granted, yeah, the whole John Stewart being the mentor, it was being a mentee to Hal Jordan in this situation where Hal Jordan's the mentor and like he's been around for quite a while. He is the Green Lantern. Now, I'm hoping if it's not this season, season two, if this season goes really well and they do pick up a season two, I'll put hope in season two they do a backstory of Sinestro being a great Green Lantern, the greatest Green Lantern there was before he turned. Now you're gonna say it's like, whoa, Sinestro was by far better than Hal Jordan until Hal Jordan surpassed him at that point. Let's be honest. The only thing I'm wondering about is you have Hal Jordan, John Stewart. Hal Jordan. Now, spoiler alert, of course. I'm sorry if you haven't watched it, but Hal Jordan seems like he's been shot. I don't know. So it sounds like he's dead, and the ring is missing. That's how John Stewart basically becomes a new Green Lantern, I guess. But reality is like I don't know. I would love to see like the fact of the matter is like you have it should have been Hal Jordan, John Stewart. I don't remember the exact comic book lore honestly, because like I can't remember how it works out. Well, like John Stewart took the ring, got the ring. But you have John Stewart, Guy Garner, and of course Kyle Rayner. So Kyle Rayner should be there. I'm hoping he gets there. They create something for him, so you have 3 humans at that point. Now the fact that they put Guy Garner ahead of Hal Jordan, being Guy Garner's there, he was. I mean, I have to wait for the rest of the season, but if the season does show that this show basically says that Guy Gardner was the first lantern before Hal Jordan, first human lantern before Jordan, that's a little bit of a concern for me at that point because honestly, that's breaking away from the lore. And I would love to see, like having Hal Jordan was the one that was actually the one that brought Guy Gardner into the lanterns, or basically the beings themselves. But anyways, to the point. Of course, I would love to see. Was it Ego? Ego, I think, is the planet. Showing him as Green Lantern as well. So that'd be interesting to see how that works out from that perspective as well. I'd love to see that, quite honestly. Um, but I don't know. I'll just leave it at that. Like right now, this I'm looking forward to the season, the rest of the season, based on the way the preview was showing. I'm hoping it doesn't falter from what they're trying to do, because I don't entirely see what the vision is, but I liked how they opened up and how surprisingly good it was the first episode. If this is any indication, I think the first season is going to be really good, and I believe honestly that more DCU, or more so Warner Brothers, should use this show as the cornerstone to kick off the rest of the DCU. Now I know they're trying to have Superman and Superman and all those other shows, other movies out there with the Batman and whatever, but I think this should be it. Now the question is like, is the Robert Patterson as well as Colin Farrell the Penguin in the same universe? I don't think it is, but I could be wrong. I have to do my research on that. I should have done my research, honestly. This is me just basically coming on board because I saw it last night. I love the show and I was like, I got to talk about it. But anyways, I highly recommend it if you're not a fan of the DC universe, or if you are, but you are pretty much hating on the Green Lantern movie by Ryan Reynolds, or with Ryan Reynolds, not by Ryan Reynolds, but with Ryan Reynolds. I would say come back, watch this show, and see how it goes. I would probably, if you don't want to watch it just yet, wait till three episodes have played, and then come in and start sort of quote unquote binging on that. I should probably binge on the Penguin. I've watched the first episode, which was really great. I never got a chance to finish up the rest because there were other shows out there at that point. So like, I want to see how the other episodes are actually. So I might have to start binging on the Penguin at that point as well too, quite honestly. I don't know, but with that, I will leave it at that. Let me know your thoughts. What did you think of the first episode of The Lanterns? Do you think this would be great? Do you think the season will be great? I haven't read all, like I said, I haven't gone and read the threads and all that stuff in regards to what the plot of the season's going to be. Probably I could probably find out anyways. I probably could use AI, chat GPT or whatnot. So, but honestly, actually, I should probably do that. But anyways, like I said, I'll probably wait till the second episode and see what happens from that. And I'll give you my thoughts from that aspect. From that, I'll leave it at that. Unfiltered, unedited, of course, always unrehearsed. Until next time.